Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. We're back with Madison. She came through the bake pretty well. Her enhancements do show, but now she's got very light blush, unlike some of my dolls that have very dark blush. And her feet, I just think they're the cutest. It's lighter, and her toes barely show any color at all on the front of her toes, on that foot at least. This one shows a little bit better. And then her little hands, they're gonna look so cute, I think. I don't know if you can see that. But they're gonna be just darling, I think. But anyway, I can't decide if I want to put any more enhancements on her or not. So, rather than do more than I really need to do, I may need to do more, but I don't know that yet. I'm just going to start on the layers, and then later, if I decide, well, I did need more blush or whatever, I can just add it. I'd rather take the safer route and not ruin what I've already done. Let me find some sponges up here for this color. I just get so many of these, I just never throw them away. Look at all these. These are all dabbing sponges. I just throw them back up here when I get done with them. And I need that one for sure because it's cleaner. And I'm gonna get me out one of these. They dab really well. And I'm going to, I don't know, do something with those. I'm not gonna be using them for dabbing sponges anymore. Okay, let's mix this up real good. And we're gonna put, I don't know. I'm a little scared to put 2 coats on her, but yet I know 1 coat's probably not gonna do it. But okay, we're gonna probably stack 2 coats on her. We're gonna start with her face, and we're just gonna carefully paint all around her eyes, her nose, her mouth, all that stuff. And her ears. And then we'll just sponge the rest of her. So make sure you get every spot. This is very light, even though it looks very dark, and it's hard to tell that you missed a spot, especially if it gets dry, you know, real quick, and you don't see the spots where you missed. It's hard to tell. So here we go. We're going to sponge it with this one now. Try to get some of this excess off. Once again, you want to get every spot, so that's why we always sponge them a couple of times before we put them back in the oven, is to make sure we didn't miss any spots. And don't forget you have this little magic brush to go inside the ears and stuff. We're going to do her lips, around her eyes, and her nose, and everything with this to try to get excessive amount of paints out of the crevices too. Now here we go on her. We're going to do this leg. I'm interested to see when it comes out how this pink is going to look when she comes out of the oven. I don't think the 05 will be dark enough to cover it up or anything, and I don't know, I just don't think it will. looks good. Give it a minute and we'll come back to it. See how that 05 is down in the crevices, you can see it. That's what wet paint does. If you don't get it out, you're gonna have a messy doll. And especially if you were a little bit messy with your sealer, those spots that are a little thicker with sealer are gonna hold the paint a little bit better. So we have to be super careful with those spots, for sure. I've made several babies and haven't given any of them a scratch. I think I'm gonna give Madison one. I usually give them to the sleeping dolls, sometimes an awake doll, but I don't know. They just look older to me when they're awake, and older babies don't usually scratch themselves that much. Not like little newborns do. But we will give her one, I think. I might change my mind by the time I get there, I don't know. Hear the neighbors' children outside. They are very loud and noisy. I think they pick on each other all the time and makes that little boy scream. Ugh, it's annoying. I'm sure all kids scream at some time or another, but I can't remember my kids ever doing that. He just screams, and sometimes, I don't know. It sounds like somebody's getting murdered or something. He's little, like 2, and his sister picks on him and takes his toys away from him and stuff like that. And I don't think the mama intervenes at all. She just lets it happen. And he just does a lot of squealing because he's upset, you know. That is lovely. Okay, now we're gonna go over her again with this other sponge and try to get off some more of the excess. And she's kind of dry, so I don't know if very much is gonna come off of her. Little bits here and there, that's about it. Mostly it'll just even up some spots that are still very, very wet, which means the paint was thicker there. Something is coming off, but it's coming off very, very lightly. Oh, screaming. I'm surprised y'all can't hear it on camera. Rowdy little children. This is why old people don't have kids. We can't hardly tolerate it anymore. We did our years of raising kids, and I didn't allow my kids to do that, though. I'd make them stop. If you have a problem, you talk with words. You don't scream. You don't just scream. And I know he can talk because I've heard him. Sometimes parents give in to children that scream just to stop them from screaming. Bad mistake, I think. Then they start screaming for everything they want. Well, it got some off. It really did. It's kind of dirty, see? Okay, by the time we get back to these arms and legs, they'll be a lot drier. We're going to now put a little bit more onto Madison's head, and then we'll go down the line again and do it all the pieces. This is called stacking. We didn't bake in between. We're just putting more paint on her. It can come out to your advantage sometimes, and other times just do no good at all. Your doll needs to be dry when you do it. She's mostly dry. If they're wet, just like you just painted them and you just paint right over them and you didn't do all that dabbing I did, the layer underneath just comes right off, and this becomes the new layer. The first layer, rather, because, oh my goodness, because of the paint thinner, you know, sort of dilutes the paint even more. It's not going to be as probably as dark as if you baked in between, but it saves a lot of time on the oven, which is a lot of time. You have to bake it for its prescribed amount of time. You have to let it cool. It's 30 minutes minimum, I would say, maybe even more time. And it's another bake, which I dislike baking because I don't know, I just do. I think too many bakes can do several things. And I don't know what too many is, okay? Because I've baked dolls upwards of 15 times and nothing happened to them. And I know you'll all know the story of my practice kit bursting open, because I think that was largely to do with the stripping, though, not just the baking. But I stripped it over and over again and reused it over and over and over and over. I just kept on stripping him. And then I decided, I think he's had enough. I'm just going to paint him, and I'm going to bake him, and I'm going to just make I don't know, maybe a bargain doll out of him or something. And I'll start a new kit. Well, I don't know, a few layers in, and he burst open. He burst open right in the oven. And it was not a pretty sight. It made me very upset. I liked that kit, but why I used him for a test kit was because when I stripped him, I didn't like the way he was painted, and I stripped him. And I didn't think that at the moment that I could make a good baby out of him after that. So I said, I'll just use him for a test kit. And then later I decided, I can't let him go, you know, I'm weird. And so I decided to make a doll out of him. He didn't make it. Back then I was doing the harsh stripping, where I just got like one of those plastic dish pans. Well, if you're very young at all, You don't even probably know what I'm talking about. Uh, it's a plastic dish pan. People used to use them to wash their dishes. Believe it or not, they didn't put their dishes in the sink. And some people didn't even have a sink. They had well water, and they didn't have running water in the house, and they didn't have a sink. So they would put their water in a pan called a dish pan. And when they were finished, they'd go throw it outside somewhere, just go dump it, you know. And anyway, I remember dish pans. But even people with running water, they'll use dish pans. They'd put the dish pan down in their sink and wash their dishes. I don't know why. Maybe they thought the sink was too dirty for their dishes. I don't know. But I just used to take one of those dish pans and I'd put my acetone in there and just lay the pieces in there and let them soak. Very bad for your vinyl. If you're gonna strip a doll, what you want to do is get a wash rag and put you some acetone on the wash rag. I mean, you can still use the dish pan. I still use the dish pan, but what I do is just hold the piece over the dish pan and just, you don't have to squeeze the rag out or nothing. Just the only thing you have to do is just like dip it in there and get it wet, and you just take the very wet wash rag and wash the parts like you're washing dishes. And don't lay them down inside, just hold them up above like this. And you can do it over and over again because all the acetone's running off. See, it's not staying on the doll. And that's a more gentle strip. And I didn't do that then. I just stuck them down in the acetone and let them soak a few minutes. And that's eating away your vinyl. Acetone is harsh, and you want to be careful with it. It's the only thing that will, well, the only thing I know of that I've ever tried that will take the paint off for sure. Some people have tried one thing or another thing and been successful with it, but when people ask me, I need to get this off, what should I do? I said, you can try all these things, but in the end, you're going to still have to pull out the acetone to get the rest of it off. So just might as well start with acetone. That's my opinion anyway, whatever it's worth. I know the acetone works. I know it's going to take the paint off. And but now your vinyl's never going to be the same again. What acetone does is, okay, this is a painted doll, but it's early in the painting stage. It's only had one bake, so I could probably get all the paint off of this doll. But acetone tends to yellow the vinyl. It'll have spots where it looks yellowish. I've never tried to correct it or anything, you know, with neutralizing. I don't think it would work. It's not that kind of yellowing. But it also, you won't get every drop of paint off. Like in little tiny crevices, like the lips and stuff, where those little lines are in the lips that I'm always trying to get the paint smooth on. That's gonna always be there, but you're gonna recolor the lips probably that same color, so it's not gonna be like it's a tragedy or anything. On the toenails, you might not, let's say the fingernails and the toenails, you might not get every bit of the color off of them. First of all, the acetone has to eat through all of the Eileen's paper glaze you put on it. It has to eat through glues that might be inside the head that are holding, say, a magnet in. I would not even attempt to bake a doll with a magnet in it because they're metallic and they superheat. The temperature of your doll might just be whatever you set the oven on, but the temperature of that magnet is much higher. So beware when you're thinking of doing stuff like that. I saw a lady's post just the other day. She was asking, oh, I have this doll and I want to touch it up and I want to do it with heat set. Do I have to like empty out the arms and legs and take all the glass out and all that? Or can I just do it the way it is? And this other lady answered her back and said, oh, I had a doll like that too, and I just took it apart. I left the magnet in it. I left everything in it. I didn't unstuff the arms and legs at all, and I just did my touch-ups and bakes, and it came out fine. Well, that's great, but that's not always the case. She must have used a lower temperature or less time or something, because if I can tell you right now, it's gonna melt the vinyl. Oh, I've never done it that way. I've always emptied it out because, yeah, I don't want to tell my secret. That makes me think it would melt it. But it will, I'm telling you it will. I melted a bucket one time. And that's all I'm gonna say. And I didn't even heat it. I didn't even heat the bucket. Okay. That's 2 coats. And I think that probably, I'm gonna try to look her over just a little more. I always like to do one more check before they go in the oven to make sure there's not anything I need to get off, like in between the toes or something. Because believe me, if you leave that little speck, you're thinking, oh, that's just a little speck. If you leave it, it becomes a big speck. And it becomes a multicolored speck. Check the ears. Check all around on her face. We are looking for harsh spots. And I have found some right here by her eye. It looks like she's got gravel in her eye. Let's get that out right away. We don't want any gravel-eyed babies. There we go, Madison. Her head looks good. Okay, let's look at these arms and legs now. We're looking at the toes and under the toes and stuff to see if there's anything there that looks like it could turn into something ugly later. Anything. And then we're just dabbing around on the still wet part to sort of see if there's anything that needs to come off. It's almost completely dry. Some of the spots, it seems to me like, that are still a little bit wet when you're doing this last dabbing are the ones that come out looking like just funny when you get them out of the oven. And then, well, they get funnier and funnier until you want to cry as you paint different layers on them. So that's why we're doing this. We're trying to take care of those things before they happen. She's got a little bit between her toes here. And it is just a tiny bit, but like I said, paint sticks to paint. And if you got a blob now, just wait till you're finished. You'll have a blob and a half. Okay. That looks good. Let's see about this one now. Now this would be a time where if you want to do an additional enhancement, as long as you're not coloring a huge area like making the hands and feet red, you wouldn't want to do it on top of this, but we can do nails. We can do lips and nails, that's fine. It's a small area and it's not going to interfere very much with our paint job. So I'm going to get out this red here. And I'm going to attempt to shake it up a little because I really like the color I was getting when I mixed it. I don't like mixing it, but one time I had some mixed up, but oh man, that jar was so full, you couldn't really mix it. And a lot of the paint had settled to the bottom. And I don't know what happened. Maybe in the initial making of the paint, I didn't mix it enough, but after it got down to like this, I mixed it and it changed the entire color of the stuff and it became awful. And I had to throw it out. We're getting that speck off of you, that's for sure. I'll get it off in a minute. It became very, very awful, that color of paint. And I couldn't use it anymore. It's unlikely you'd ever use up the whole bottle of this stuff right here, because of the fact that it is indeed a minuscule amount that you use at a time. And over time, it starts to get thick and gross, and it doesn't work as good, and globby and streaky, and then you want to throw it out. And well, it's used its purpose. You've used it for a year or more. I know I've been using this for more than a year. And I used to mix it in a mason jar, but there's too much headroom in there for air to make it dry more. So I just use this tiny bottle now. I did take a tiny portion of the thinner out before I started mixing, because it was not enough room in the jar. Excuse me. To mix it. The jar's pretty full when you get it, and then you have to add, excuse me, you have to add the red paint to it, and then you have to be able to mix it. I compare it to a pot that you overfilled with something, and now you need to mix it, and it won't hardly mix. Excuse me. Oh, it's my day to sneeze. It's allergies. I have such allergies. I can't tell where her toenail ends and her toe begins. I know I want to get that heavy amount that's down by her, the bottom of her nails, off. It looks like you lined it with something. Paint tends to run down there. If you put it on too thick at one time, it's all going to run down to the bottom of the toe, not up here to the top of the toe. And it's going to get right in that little crack. And you're not going to like it. I promise you're not going to like it. So it needs some more sponging or something. Looking funny right there. Okay. Now, here we go. We're going to put a little bit of this on each nail here. Thank goodness she's not got her fingers covering up part of her nails. I hate it when that happens. Mostly because it's hard to reach those areas where the like if her thumb right here was over the top of this finger part way, you'd have to try to reach under there and paint that nail. It's incredibly hard. Well, that's a hair, and it's bothering me. Even though it'll come off later, I want it off now. It's in my way. Move out the way at least. They like to stick to the doll. And most of them are mohair. I don't have hair, and my dog's hair is so short you couldn't even see it either. So it's got to be mohair. Okay, there's that hand. Excuse me a minute. sneezing and watery eyes. It all goes with allergies. And after you sneeze, your eyes just get so watery you can't see what you're doing. I had to stop and wipe my eyes out. Her feet just look mucky to me. I got to fix that. And if that little minuscule mucky looks bad now, like I said, every layer adds a little. Now my nose wants to run. Okay, and I think this might be the last one, yes. Oh, now they're coming up against the door. Oh, those kids. Come up and run their toy into your door. I have to go out there and I got a gate up. I wonder how they're doing that. Unless the gate's down. Oh, I gotta fix that mucky looking stuff on that finger too. If we want really nice looking dolls, it really is meticulous work. You have to pay very close attention to every little detail. If you want a real pristinely clean and pretty doll when you get finished. Yeah, I see something there too. Every little bit is something that's going to build up later. So, in the long run, you're doing yourself a favor by stopping and getting it off. When you're finished and that particular area is all mucked up with different colors and crap, you're going to be going, oh, I wish I'd have got that off when I first saw it. I've passed it over myself, so don't feel bad if you've passed it over. I've passed it over too and go, oh, that won't do nothing. It'll be okay. Oh, but it did, you know. Okay, the nails are now done. They're not as, some of them are not as dark as others, but we'll straighten out the nails later. Oh, let's see. I want to do her lips a little bit here. And this time we won't be using the swiping method. That's good for the first time. Maybe one more time, I don't know. When you're putting, oops, she's got something in her lips now. What's that? This happens more often when you're stacking the colors, believe it or not. You don't get as much mucky if you bake in between. But I didn't have very much. I just had a little, so. Okay, Madison, I gotta give you some lips here. Oh, that's making me crazy, that screaming. As soon as I open up the door, I have a gate up, but the dog can run out. They'll see the dog and they'll run in the house. Not that she'd do anything to them. She just comes out. She just wants to play with them and pet them to pet her and stuff. But they're terrified of her. So as soon as I open up the door, they're going to run in the house. They run in the house even when I don't even have the dog with me. The dog's like sleeping in her bed and oblivious to the fact that I opened up the door. They'll still run in the house because they're afraid. They're afraid she might run out. I'm gonna put some in her nose while we're doing this. Let it be color in the inside of the nose a bit. My problem is I put too much. And then when I go to dab it out, I dab it all out pretty much. If you're not careful, whatever you put in the nose is going to run out when you turn the head back the right way. I usually take a long time on the lips because they're so delicate, and it's one of the things that you see almost first when you look at the face. If the lips are bad, your eyes go right to those bad lips. But if the lips are good, I don't know. Trying to dabble around that paint so it doesn't look so funny. It's just too much in there is what it is. Well, that's kind of red inside of her nose. I don't know. Okay, she is got her lips and her nails and her 2 coats of 05, and we're ready to put her in the oven and start baking her. We're taking our time with this doll, so the segments might be a little long, but we're looking at every crevice, we're looking at everything, and trying to make sure we're doing it right. So anyway, we're gonna get her in and bake her, and we'll be back for whatever comes next. Well, I got red all over that. I probably need to just, get another one now. But please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborning.